Hello guys, welcome back onto the channel. I'm bringing you one more Driveclub online multiplayer video, and we're gonna be driving in Canada. This is another one of those tracks in Canada. I don't think I've brought this one over to the channel yet, so this might be your first look on this track in case you haven't played the game, which I highly doubt at this point. But we're driving the Golf GTI. We're in 9th place. Now, this track can be a little bit tricky because of this first section and another one that's very similar to the one that we just took. And the reason why is that you can take this corner, one of them you can take pretty much flat out. But you need to position your car correctly in order to be able to do so. As you can see, I collided against the wall. And that's not gonna help me, but we have 4 laps in this race, so we have plenty of time to catch up to the other guys. And there's a lot of ghosting, which is probably a sign that there's a lot of lag going on in this race. And I like the fact that the game actually ghosts people that are lagging out, because it avoids a lot of accidents where the car starts jumping around when you don't really know how close or how far you are from whoever you're trying to overtake. And this can prevent a lot of collisions. This is one of the corners that I said that it is tricky. Now we're gonna take a tight one to the right, to the right, and then we're gonna head on a straight line, and then the next section is the one that I told you that we can actually take flat out. Sorry, not the next one. We need to take the next one, and then the next one is the one that we can take flat out if we position our car properly. That's the one, the next one. So if I position my car correctly, I can take this one pretty much flat out. As you can see, I gained a lot over these guys because I took it pretty quick. Not sure if I took it flat out though, but I took quicker than the other guys, so that's what matters. So we're up in 2nd place. There's still 2 laps left to go, where we have just crossed the line into the 3rd lap, and this guy in front of me is kind of freaking me out because he's ghosting out, and sometimes you can see his car in a solid state, and that what freaks me out because I don't know what's gonna happen as I approach him, if I manage to approach him. I don't remember whether or not I'm gonna be able to catch up to him at some point over the remainder of this race, so it remains to be seen. But I think I'm setting a consistent pace, considering that I'm pulling away from the guys behind. But it looks like the guy in front of me is even more consistent and also faster than I am. So I think it's gonna take a lot of work for me to reel him in. And we're about to cross the line into the last lap of the race. I really love this track, man. I love the Canada tracks in general. If I were to pick one location as my least favorite one in the game, that would be, I think, India. That's the one that features the tracks that I like the least, especially so when you compare it to the other ones. But as far as the other ones go, I love pretty much most of them, if not all of them. They have I like the flow of the tracks in this game. They are really high speed and they're fun to drive in. And I don't know if I'm actually reeling this guy in, or if I don't know, or if some sort of lag happened and somehow he wasn't that far from me as I thought he was. But yeah, we're up in 1st place apparently. Let's see once we cross the finish line, because that may change depending on his lag. But we're up in 1st place. We crossed the line in 1st place. Now we managed to keep the position, so we finish about a second ahead of him. So yeah, that was a fairly close racing throughout the entire event. and that was a really nice result. I kind of started almost at the back of the pack and managed to find my way through uh, the first place. Moving on to the second race of the video, we're heading over to India, and I don't know the name of this track, and you're gonna have to bear with me with the lack of track names, because in this game either the tracks are way too difficult to pronounce or they are too difficult to remember. In most cases, it's just a matter of being too difficult to remember the names, unless it's an Americanized one that's easier to remember. That's a whole mess going on here. Someone tried to wipe me out, didn't work, so we managed to kind of go through the entire carnage that was going on back there, and we're up in second place. This guy makes contact with me. They're both driving Paganas. They go a little bit too deep and make a collision with the wall. That's gonna grant us the second place. This guy is driving a Paganis Honda. There's a lot of Paganis Hondas in this race, which requires an entirely separate skill set in this game. There are a bunch of cars in this game that they can be really quick, but it requires a lot of skill and finesse in order for you to master them. If you do manage to master them, then it's going to be pretty difficult to lose races in those cars. But if you don't have the skill set necessary to keep these cars under control, you're going to have a hard time winning races in them, because for most part of the time you're going to either be sliding out or trying to keep your car in a straight line, which is very difficult to do in those cars. So this is one of the reasons why I decided to go with the LaFerrari. The LaFerrari is a very quick car, but it's manageable. It's not as difficult as the Pagani Zonda. And since this is a race that I recorded maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I was not comfortable driving Zondas at this point. At some point, I kind of got used to them, to driving the trickiest cars in the game. But at this point, I wasn't confident in my skills, so I decided to stick what I felt the safest on, and LaFerrari is one of them. So the guy in the Pagani Zonda is up front. He's in the first place, and that's not a surprise. As I said, this car is really fast, and it's unmatched, provided it's in the right hands. And it seems like that's the case here. It seems like this guy knows what he is doing with the car, knows his way around the track as well, so that's gonna help him out a lot. And we still have 2 laps left to go. This track is a little bit long. It's not a short one by any means. As you can see, it takes a little bit over, I think, 1 minute, and in Driveclub terms, that's a little bit longer. Tracks in this game don't usually take that long. And when they do take that long, the races don't feature 4 laps. They are usually maybe 1 or 2 laps only. But somehow, sometimes the game does set up fairly longer races, and I love that. I really, as I said many times before in some of my other videos, I love long races. I love races that take like maybe 5 or 10 minutes to complete. And in this game, 5 minutes is a long time. That's why I'm referring that as a long race. In maybe other games, simulation-based games, that's not a lot of time. Sometimes this can be as much as a single lap in any given track. This guy makes a mistake. He goes out wide and into the barrier. I thought I was going to be able to capitalize on that, but he managed to pull away quite fast and leaving me in his dust pretty much. And this guy is good, and the fact that I'm able to keep up with him is something that I think it's worthy bringing over to the channel, because that was an intense race. I'm staying fairly close to him, and he's obviously faster than I am. Now, I think this race boiled down to pretty much me and this guy. There's nobody else in sight behind. I mean, there are 8 other racers in the track, but they're nowhere to be seen. So it's down to me and this guy in the Pagani Zonda. I managed to kind of pull ahead of him a little bit. He's gonna try to wipe me out. Doesn't work. Now that's something that That's something that usually pissed me off in Driveclub. That's one of the downsides, the very few downsides of the game. The physics in this game, I'm not gonna lie, I love them, but they're not for everybody. They are a little bit weird. In terms of characteristics, the cars feel very different to drive. They each have their own characteristics, their own downsides, their own upsides. It's unlike most arcade racers. But when it comes to the physics themselves, there's one thing that I absolutely don't like about this, and it's the fact that whenever somebody tries to push you around, your car is gonna try to turn in to the person who is trying to push you, and that can lead you to spin out when you're actually trying to avoid spinning out. And that's something that I really wish that they had fixed, but with the game pretty much dead at this point, I'm pretty sure that that's not gonna happen. But that's been a really nice first place finish, especially so because this guy was faster, but even still he tried to wipe me out and it didn't work. So it was a very sweet win. These races were a bit on the longer side, so this is gonna be a 2-race only video. But anyways, I hope you had fun, I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you did like, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more Driveclub content, share the video with your friends and on your social media. Helps me out a lot and I really appreciate the help. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, the links are in the description down below or at the beginning of the video. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye.